Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mike Martin. I'm the GM of Marketing at Casio America, and I'm here today with a webinar on a new product, the Privia PX-S3000. So I know a lot of you have been anxiously awaiting a sort of detailed look at this product. My long unboxing video is still in the editing process. I hope to finish it tomorrow. You might see a couple clips of that video throughout this webinar. I've got a couple camera angles that I'm pulling from footage that I've already shot there, so I hope to anyway show you a full tour of this product today. It is rather amazing, and I'm very excited to share it with you. Throughout the webinar, please use the Ask a Question section here in Crowdcast, and I'll do my best to address your questions during the webinar. If there's any thoughts on anything that's occurring during the webinar, be it sound or other issues, I'm going to do my best to mute the microphone when I'm playing so you can best hear the instrument, and do my best to answer all of your questions throughout. So without further ado, I guess we're going to dive right into this product. And so this is the PX-S3000. I've got a couple different views of it for you. In fact, let's pull up some pretty pictures of it first. It's an absolutely gorgeous instrument, and you know, when you first turn this instrument on, or when you first get it out of the box, it's hard to believe how absolutely amazingly small and slim and lightweight this instrument is. It's below 25 pounds. It's almost 40% smaller than previous models. It's more than 50% smaller than competitive models from other companies. And all that being said, the action is absolutely superb. The speaker system is even better than we've had in previous generations, and on and on and on. So it is an absolute marvel. Well, there's so many amazing things about it. One of the things you'll notice when you first get it out of the box is that it has this, I'll move my camera over here, this beautiful polished black look to it, and you can't really see what's happening on the product until you power it up. Here's another look of the front panel. It's gorgeous. And then when you power it up, the touch control surface on the front panel is revealed. So there are no buttons on the front panel other than the power button, and the only other big control right there is the volume knob that you can see. So the controls on the instrument are very sleek. It is touch controlled surface, so you just tap the screen and you're able to quickly change parameters. There are also, as you can see, let me pull up this other slide. There are also some physical controls over on the left hand side. There's two knobs. There's a pitch bend wheel, and there's also some physical things on the back like the expression pedal input and more that we will get to. But the layout is unlike anything you've ever seen in this category before. It's absolutely elegant and beautiful, and it plays absolutely amazing. So obviously, you know, one of the first things about a product like this is the piano sound and the action. Casio has re-engineered everything about this product from the ground up. It's a new keyboard action, it's new piano samples, it's a new engine that plays back those samples with new effects and more. So as far as comparing it to previous models, there isn't much similar. Obviously, we've taken what we've learned and we've expanded upon it. It is quite phenomenal. So let's dive right into the piano sound itself. So Casio uses a Hamburg grand piano sample, and the one in the PX-S3000 is new. This is the default preset. Mute my microphone. So one of the things you'll notice right away when you first play it is the richness. I hate to quote a Spinal Tap movie, but the sustain. I think that's an area that users have been critical about our piano samples in the past, and so they've redone everything in that regard. It's much more melodic. It sustains for days. Well, the appropriate amount, I should say, and along with that, there's a whole new engine to support these piano sounds. It's actually derived from what we've done in our Grand Hybrid, our flagship instrument, and I can show you some of the things that are happening behind the scenes with this piano sound. And in this case, I'm going to use the iPad app so it's easy for everyone to see. But this all can be done from the front panel. In fact, just quickly I'll show you. If I hold down the function button, I go to sound, there's Acoustic Simulator. I have all the Acoustic Simulator parameters up on the iPad screen at once. It's just easier for all of us to see at once. But everything I'm about to show you as far as the way the piano sound works and the modeling and the system behind it can be quickly controlled from the iPad. So let's dive right in. So there's a string resonance system, well, it's a couple things. First, I'm going to disable the effects. There's a button right here on the front panel that allows me to adjust the sound mode. With the orange light on, that's the standard operating. We have a system reverb effect. If I touch it again, it actually changes the way the speaker system operates for a surround sound mode, which is really gorgeous. And then if I press it a third time and those lights goes off, that disables the system reverb. And I'm disabling that so we can get a detailed listen to the nuances that are occurring and create this amazing piano experience. So the string resonance. This is the way the virtual strings harmonically work together. So if I were to play something, and I'm going to mute my microphone and change the camera angle so you can see this, but I'm going to play a chord, and as lightly as I can, so I'm not actually triggering those notes. And then I'm going to play another note that's harmonically in common with that, just to let you hear this string resonance system. So a pretty simple thing, but as you're moving, as you're playing the instrument, as you're moving from chord to chord, this string resonance system is actively measuring harmonically what's happening between all the notes that are down, and they are physically going to or virtually going to excite each other, and you're going to hear that resonance happening. It's a beautiful system. It's completely different than what we've had in previous instruments, again derived from the Grand Hybrid. The next thing I want you to hear is the damper resonance, and again I've disabled the system reverb, but so I'm going to play something and then I'm going to play it again with the pedal down just so you can hear all of the strings on the instrument up at once. In fact, I'm also going to turn up the sound of the damper on the instrument, so the damper sound is going to be raised here, so let's check that out. So I have these things exaggerated. I mean, obviously, if you're going for an effect, it's beautiful to have it turned up this high. This is far louder than it is by default, but it's beautiful for demonstration purposes that we can turn it up to sort of this extreme level. When it's set to tone, that's sort of the preset value that's assigned to that tone. But if I override it here in the Acoustic Simulator, then we're going to hear those effects, in this case exaggerated. So of course you can turn them off as well. I'm going to take a quick look at the question list. Boy, a lot of questions. Diving down here. All right, I am going to continue on this path. I'm going to come back to some of those questions in a little bit after I'm finished with the acoustic resonator section. There are some other details here, things like key action noise for the key down and the key off. It's a subtle thing. If you're listening on your laptop speakers or something like that, you may not hear it. If you're listening on headphones, it's something you'd probably hear pretty well. So let's check that out real quick, the key action noise. So these are just, amazing subtleties that as you're playing the instrument, as you're experiencing the instrument, really put you in that environment between the sound of the felt coming off the strings when I step on the damper pedal, this space that is created by the damper resonance system and the string resonance system, and then the mechanical noises that physically a piano creates that we are also simulating here. This all just puts you in this amazing environment, and combine that with the variety of acoustic piano presets in here that the S1000 and 3000 have to offer. It is really an amazing experience. So it is. So speaking of which, let's dive into a couple of the different piano presets. I'm going to turn some of these effects down a little bit. I'm going to turn down the pedal noise just a little bit and turn down the damper resonance just a touch. I personally love the key mechanical noises turned up a lot. I'll give you a quick view of where I have it set for now. And let's dial in a couple of the other presets. If you've watched any of the videos coming out of the NAMM show, Tom Brislin played this stage piano preset throughout the NAMM show. It's a brighter sound. It's actually an incredibly powerful system on board that allows us to get all these different variations with this piano sample. So the stage preset, let's dial it back in. There we go. So, you know. I mean, that's an instrument that's going to completely cut through a mix. It's EQ'd where it needs to be EQ'd. This particular preset is unique to the PX-S3000. The PX-S1000 does have a brighter piano as well as a rock and roll piano, which really that'll take your head off if you need it to. So the PX-S1000 does have 5 different acoustic piano presets, while there's more than 20 here on the 3000 to choose from. One of my other favorites in particular is this mellow one, and again it's unique to the 3000, and I'm going to turn the effect system back on with this one. So the PX-S1000 and 3000 do have our Premier Hall Simulator effect system. That these are actual venues that we've gone and measured and through impulse responses, if anybody is familiar with that technology, and you can actually pull up specific venues in here and experience the piano through those. So, you know, I really love this mellow piano with a little bit more reverb on it. I'll mute my microphone. That to me is just really nice sound. It's not something that I think you typically expect out of our instruments, unless you just sit back and play so softly. Ian's asking in the chat window, everything, Ian. It's a new recording, new samples with the new resonance system that I've been trying to demonstrate here. So it's really amazing. So. But a lot of different presets in here in the PX-S3000 to explore. There's even some, some octave pianos and some other fun things to explore. But 20 different piano presets. Again, the PX-1000 only has 5 of those and more. So I'm going to take a quick look at the question window. For those of you participating, if you have the same question, take a look at that section, upvote a question, and I'll do my best to address it. So why not? I'll go ahead and take the hard question from Joe. Joe is asking all about the new keyboard action So it is a new keyboard action in the PXS-1000 and 3000. Casio has, we've re-engineered this chassis. We've made the instrument smaller, both from top to bottom, as well as the depth of the instrument. It's physically easier to carry, move around, take wherever your music takes you. But with that, they changed the action. Joe's question is going on about the, he's skeptical about the action because it's 2 sensors instead of 3, and the pivot point is very short. It's about 1/8 of an inch shorter than the previous action. It's a minimal change in the overall length of the key and the pivot point. I could tell you everything in the world about this new action, and clearly you're not going to believe me. You need to go put your hands on it. It's one of the reasons this product won the Best in Show and award at NAMM, and the Keyboard Magazine KeyBuy Award, and the Music Inc. Editor's Choice Award, is because of the way it plays. It does play better than our previous models. It's still providing a high resolution output, not only to the engine internally, but also over Midi. So you're getting over 16,000 steps of resolution to that sound engine, and you're doing that in a system that was redesigned from the ground up. The keys themselves, even the texture on the keys is new from previous models. Some people felt it was too extreme. And the key scaling is completely new on the 1000 and 3000, providing weighting of each of the 88 keys. So it's really an outstanding action. You got to put your hands on it. So that's the bottom line. Go put your hands on it. Go play it. Put some headphones on. It's a great feeling action, and it was overwhelmingly positive by everybody that played it at the NAMM show. And so visit your local retailer, get your hands on it. The 1000s are in stores. The 3000s just started shipping last week, so you might be able to find those real soon. So thanks for the question, Joe. There's another question here from Dennis about the Cortana app, and he's downloaded it for the Apple and Android, and he can't get his PX-3000 recognized. So more than likely you've downloaded the Cortana app, and there's actually a separate one called Cortana Play for Piano. So do check out that other app in the store. You might have missed it. It's called Cortana Play for Piano. So when you plug it in, it will automatically detect, as I have it up here on the screen, that I have, you see up in the top of the screen, it says PX-S3000. It detects which instrument is connected, and you go from there. So I'm just diving through a few more of these questions. Can different settings in the Acoustic Simulator be saved for different tones? Okay, so the Acoustic Simulator, let's go back and look at that particular screen. Let's go to Acoustic Simulator. So see where it says tone on the left-hand side for each of these settings. So when you dial in a particular piano preset on the PXS 1000 or 3000, and these settings are set to tone, they will vary a little bit from preset to preset, from tone to tone as you choose them. Those parameters are stored in there with those tones. If you override any of these settings, as I'm doing here, and you crank them up, you want to hear more of the key action noise and all of those things, that is now a global setting for the piano tones, all of them, regardless of which one you choose. So anything you do here, it's kind of like system tuning. That is a global change. So hope that answers your question. Again, another question about the apps. Again, Cortana for Android. Again, there's a new one, Cortana Play for Piano. It was just released, so do check it out. Firmware on the PXS 1000, someone's asking, Joe. Don't know. So the one other physical difference between the PXS 1000 and 3000 is the physical inputs and outputs. And if we can take a quick look at the back of the PXS 3000, it has from left to right a damper pedal input. That's a pedal input for the SP34 option, an 1/8 inch audio input. It has left and right 1/4 inch outputs and an expression pedal input, and then the power connector. So that's one part of the back panel. I don't have a picture of the other part, but the other part has a USB MIDI out port, as well as a USB storage port. And on the 3000, you can load and save registrations, which I'm going to get to all the things you can do to change sounds on this product in a minute. And in theory, that would allow us to easily update the firmware should we need to. The 1000, I don't think is possible. It's obviously a much more straightforward instrument. It's about being a piano and with some other sounds, pianos, electric pianos, strings, and organs. So it's pretty simpler. It's much simpler of a product. It's very focused in what it does. So I wouldn't expect firmware updates for the PX-S3000. But thanks for the question, Joe. All right, can you edit the sound? So great question, Ian. This is the one I'm going to dive into now. So yes, this is one of the things that makes the PX-S3000 different than, frankly, any other piano out there sub $1,000 besides Casio's own PX5S, which is $999. Most digital pianos are preset products, meaning you have the preset tones that are in there, and that's what you've got. And Casio has had a long history of instruments like in the 300 series products, from the original PX300 to the PX350. But the PX-S3000 is different. You can get in and change pretty much everything in regards to a sound, and you can store it. And the system will also allow us to take those things that we've changed and edited, put them on CasioMusicForums.com, where you can download them. So let's dive into some of the things you can change, and to do that, I need to show you a couple things about the way the interface works on the PX-S3000. So when you take a look at the instrument, and this isn't a live camera view, this is a video shot here, you've got the display, you've got plus and minus buttons, and then you have your sound mode, function button, and then over on the far right hand side you've got categories, which in this particular view say piano, electric piano, organ, strings, pad, and others. Now the real trick to the way the PX-S3000 operates is that section on the right hand side, using the touch panel, the functions can completely change. So this is where we can get into doing things like editing the effects and editing other things, as well as storing and recalling those settings in registrations. This is where everything gets very, very interesting. So that video should loop so you can get another look at that. Well, maybe it'll loop, maybe it will not. Let's try it again. So again, first category is your tone categories, then it goes to your rhythm categories. Third section, this is where you have everything having to do with control and editing, and last but not least is registrations. So let's dive into what we can do with changing sounds. So couple things. The first thing I'm going to do is just to show you, just for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to grab a synth sound, because I think this is one of the easier places to hear some of the things I'm going to change. So I'm grabbing a basic synth string patch. This is coming from the pad category. Now if I use the parameters on the right hand side of the instrument, and I'll just move this camera just a pinch. So I'm going to use the function button, just tap it 2 times, and on my list over here is knob. So if I press knob, that's now showing me over here on the left what my knobs 1 and 2 do, and by in this particular case, they are controlling the filter of this particular sound. Apologize for the moving camera here. So I can make a real-time change to this pad sound. Or I could go and find another parameter. Let's go, I've got brilliance, control, amp envelope. So I can make my attack really, really slow. And my release, if I want to increase that. So I've edited the filter, I've edited the amp envelope, and I could go through different parameters that the knobs here on the left can change, including effects control and things like that. And if I now like my new slower pad with the darker filter, I can store that as a registration, okay? And I can upload it to the forum for you guys to download, and you can download it. So there are 14 different pages of parameters that I can manipulate with knobs 1 and 2. Even things like some fun stuff like portamento, you know. Okay. So if that's the way I like this sound, I can now store that as a registration. Very cool. So again, typically pianos in this category don't have any editing at all, and now I've changed all of that. But wait, there's more. So let's dive into what we can do with effects. And for this example, I'm going to just go to a different category of sound. I'm going to go to one of my favorites, clavinets. So this is a sound taken directly off the PX-S3000. This is has all the key off detail. It's quite remarkable, and like the PX-S3000, we've got 2 different pickup positions to choose from, so it's great. Now, if I want to get in and edit the effects and you know, make this sound really, well, customize it to my taste, I can go to the DSP section, select DSP, and the first thing I see is that, well, it's using whatever effect the engineers at Casio preset with this tone, but I'm going to get in and change it. Now, there are 100 different effects chains on the PX-S3000. And so as you scroll through and see an effect, it could be one effect or it could be up to 4 at once. All right, so just understand that as we scroll through here and we see different things, it could be one thing or it could be up to 4 at once. And some of the descriptions here, you know, delay, wah, amplifier, you know, that's giving you an idea of what's happening in this particular effect album. I mean, just by selecting this particular effects preset, holy crow, I've got something dramatically different and with a whole lot of character, and I can get in and further change that. So if I want to change some additional parameters here, I just now hold the DSP button for a moment, and now I can scroll through and I can see the 4 different algorithms that are being used in this chain. I've got a wah-wah, an LFO wah, I've got overdrive, I've got a cabinet simulator, and a stereo delay. All 4 of those things as an insert on this particular sound. So if I dive in, you know, maybe it's a little too dirty, I can go in and choose a different overdrive. Maybe I want to clean it up a little bit, so I'll pick a crunch. I can go real clean. So, you know, just by changing what's happening here, like on the preamp side, we can dramatically change the tone. Maybe I want to get in and change the type of speaker. There are 94 different speaker models to choose from on the PX-S3000. So you might recognize some of them by name. And as you go through here, I mean, let's pick something, you know, FD Twin. What model could that be? So it's completely different EQ and character, and even within that, there are different variations. You know, because each of the amps have different channels. Maybe if I turn off that wah-wah, we can hear this a little bit more. So let's go back to the LFO wah and bypass it. And go back to that amp simulator, choose a different speaker. As opposed to, or So the level of editing for any of the presets as far as effects is extreme. And in this case, you know, I just started with this particular effect algorithm that gave me all of those choices, and there was 100 different effects chains in here that give me all kinds of options. So let's get into some other sound categories, and a lot of people we're anxious to hear some of the other kinds of sounds, and so far I've only played a couple of them. So let's get in here. By the way, I think let's see. Yeah, I made another like clean, like I was playing a moment ago without the amp, just a wah-wah. So I'm what an absolute blast. So clavinets, I could go on for days with those. There's even, just like there are many different speaker models to choose from, there are different wah-wah models to choose from. It's extensive. So let's get into some other sounds. So let's go back to tone, and let's start in the electric pianos. So a lot of people have been anxious about hearing the electric pianos on the PX-S3000. So obviously there's some great stock presets. And again, we could take this, maybe I don't like the phaser, maybe I want to dirty it up, maybe I want to change it. We can do all that as I was doing with the clavinet. You know, I might like a different panner than this one has, so I could quickly go into the DSP section and change the panner. I can even change the waveform to give me a harder pan, change the depth all the way up, and slow the rate down. So this should give us a real nice. We must still have some dry signal in here, so let's fix that. And by the way, if you hold the parameters, you see it starts scrolling by tens. So you can customize all of the electric piano sounds for days. Dial in your favorite phaser settings. I did one prior to going live. Let's see if I can find it. Which has a little bit of an amp. So a little bit of a cabinet and EQ to make it a little brighter. And a phaser as well. So again, you can customize it and make it your own. And I'll be uploading some of my favorites up to Casio music forums for people to download. You know, so let's, you know, here's one I made. If I want to get in and change its effect, you know, maybe I think some of you want to hear it without the overdrive, so we can bypass that. So all kinds of effects, all kinds of ways to customize each of the individual sounds. So Ian, boy, I went on and on about answering your question about changing editing sounds. That was the longest answer ever. So I can go on and on and on, and I probably will do some more of that as this clinic goes on. So, and you know, on that note, I'll go ahead and take your next question about seamless transition. I can change sounds from one to the other. One is sustaining, and I can move from one to the other. So there you go. Dave was asking about extended warranty. There is an additional 2-year or a total of 3-year warranty on Privia models in the United States. If you're outside of the United States, Canada, or Mexico, please contact your local distributor. So great question, Dave. All right. I think, Joe, I believe I addressed your question about where it says tone in the Acoustic Simulator. Let's pull that screen up real quick. When it says tone here, that is the preset amount of damper noise or string resonance with a piano tone preset. So that's what they've stored in there by default. If you override those settings with your own, then that becomes a global setting. So I think I answered that. Check. All right. So your favorite whirly in the PX5S is a broken speaker whirly. Is that in the 3000? I think I kind of just demonstrated that in Joe with the variety of amplifier models. I think I could come pretty close to recreating that particular preset on the 3000. I'll say that the Wurlitzer samples are different on the PX-S3000 than the 5S and the 560. The 5S and the 560 can really go into great detail on those particular sounds, and with the level of editing those instruments offer, there is, I think, a little bit more detail, but obviously the focus on the 3000 is acoustic piano, and they've also added a lot of other sample content in here as well. So it's not 100% identical, but I bet I could figure out what speaker amp combination was used on that one and come really darn close on the 3000. So hope that answers your question. And Joe, with all the question, can the expression pedal control the wah? So let's answer that question. I can show you what the expression pedal can do here on the iPad app. It's real easy to see what's happening. So first of all, the damper pedal, and let's back up. In fact, I'm going to pull up a slide here if I have it. I do. So, oops, there it is. So one thing I've got here, and I'm going to reach down on the floor and pick it up and show you guys. I'm using this guy, the SP34. This is a new accessory for the PX-S1000 and 3000. Gives you 3 pedals, and it's got a nice long cord on it, which means you can use all 3 pedals on a gig without using our furniture stand. So our previous models and models from other companies require that you have a furniture stand to use an accessory like this. Now you've got a real portable option that you can gig with. So with that being said, that's what I'm using here today, but there's still a damper pedal input on the back of the instrument. There's still an expression pedal input on the back. So as you can see here on the iPad screen, the damper pedal can do some other things. I could use it, the 1/4 inch input could be used to start and stop my rhythm section, all right? And then I can still use the sustain pedal on the SP34, which is really cool. But the expression pedal input can be used for a variety of different things. It can be used as a standard switch input, but you could also plug in another pedal, and you could use a half damper pedal from another manufacturer if you want as well. So that's without buying your SP34, you could do half dampering, but you can see the other assignments that you have available. So things like layer balance. If you got piano and strings, you can control the balance between the two. If you want to assign it to master volume for the entire instrument, things like that. So to answer your question, you cannot use the expression pedal to real-time control effects. So that level of editing is not available here on the PX-S3000. So I hope that answers your question. Thanks, Joe. And I don't know where your question went. It went away. All right. I'm going to take a quick look at the chat window. So Harry's asking questions, and Joe, I don't know what you said. Hopefully, oh, does it have a clean EP, Fender Rhodes type? I think I tried to demonstrate some of the variety. Frank, I can go back, or Harry, I can go back through and pull up a couple others real quick for you, just to give you an idea. Obviously, I was going through some of the ones with effects and showing the level of editing to address the other questions. But we've got some, the 80s style ones in here. We've got, there's a nice dyno in here. That one is actually in the 5S as well. And again, some with effects. But the cool thing is, if you like the way one is playing and one is responding, maybe it has an effect. Maybe I like the way this one sounds in the low end. Well, I could just clean it up by changing the effect. All right, so I could go in and just change that effect or bypass it altogether. Pretty straightforward to do. So now I'd have a completely, a straight dry Rhodes if that's what I need. Maybe I'm running it through another pedal. You need it. So lots and lots of options as far as Rhodes sounds. The other one everybody's always asking about is the whirly. And so Joe, I think So I took our whirly and added a amp effect here. Looks like I'm using this particular algorithm. I could go in then and change which amp cabinet is being used. And like I said, to answer your question before, and some of these also have like an EQ section before or other tone change. So so there's so many choices. And you can also, again, within each one there's variations. And dial in your own favorites. And so this particular effect algorithm has, well, the wah, which I've clearly turned off. It has, again, an overdrive section with, I have right now in a crunch section. So we can clean that up here and just run it through the speaker, or we can get real nasty with all kinds of different sections in the preamp before we get to the speaker. It's going to change the overall tone. So tons of options there. So yeah, there are some, absolutely have some similar kind of thing with the tremolo. So, yep. All right, taking a look at questions some more. So, Joe was asking that he's looking for a piano, but is also looking for a MIDI controller. And will the PX-S3000 work out? Yeah, of course. So, if, for example, you have the knobs assigned to just, filter control, well, those are going to send, standard CCs 71 and 74, which you could remap in your software. And from there, you can do whatever you want to it. So, yeah, pretty straightforward. And, of course, there's other choices in here as well, but they send standard CCs when you turn the knob. Likewise, the expression pedal is going to send CC number 11, and pitch wheel, has a definable range. So absolutely, one of the things I love about the new Privias is the profile is so thin that you could use it on a desk in front of your computer, and it's not going to take up much space. I mean, if you were to compare it quickly to other models that are out there, you see how much taller they are in comparison to our Privias. So with ours, your hands aren't going to be at an awkward height if you're using it on a desk in front of your computer compared to other models that are out there. So great question. Thanks, Joe. Ian, what's the price? So I don't know where you're from, Ian, but here in the United States, the PX-S3000, sells for $799 at your local retailer. So there might be, of course, other options at different retailers with, stands and other accessories. In fact, we've got a really awesome gig bag for this guy. I think I've got a picture of it right here. So there is a PX-S3000. So if you have a beret and you're traveling in Paris, you can carry your PX-S3000 in this new gig bag. Just over $100 for the new gig bag. And the gig bag, by the way, will fit the pedal option we were talking about earlier, as well as the music rest, power supply, and other accessories. So I hope that answers your question. Thanks very much, guys. This keeps the clinic moving. Kim is asking, does the PX-S3000 have hex layer sounds like the PX560? So no, it doesn't. This instrument is not a replacement for the PX-5S or the PX560. Those are different instruments with very deep editing and synthesis capabilities, in particular something we call hex layers. Those remain unique to those instruments, so you won't find that level of editing in this instrument, but I think I've demonstrated throughout the clinic so far that there's a great deal of editing which has never been heard before on an instrument in this category before. So yes, editing, but not to that level. All right, splits and layers. Joe, great question. All right, so let's get back to a piano sound, and let's talk about how fast and easy it is to do splits and layers. So, okay. Cooking with gas. All right. So I don't have the best camera angle for you to see sort of the right side of the instrument here. So let's say I've dialed in and I want to use the stage piano. I like this brighter preset. And I want to layer it with something. So apologize, this camera angle isn't perfect. So I could just step down on the right-hand side, and over on the right you've got a dedicated split and layer buttons here on the right. So if I hit layer, it's going to default to strings. Okay, if I hit split, I now have a bass in my left hand and piano and strings in my right. So visually, this is all very easy to see in the iPad app, but you see I just did it here on the front panel, and here the iPad is now showing that I've got a split point which I can put anywhere I want, and then I've got piano, strings, and bass all happening. And if I want to pick a different sound, maybe I want to go into pads and I want to find, I'm doing the Bruce Hornsby thing. We can, got the cool warm pad sound in the background. If I'd like to change its volume, we can change its volume. We can shift the octave. And we can also change whether or not the expression pedal is working for this part, or the pitch bend wheel is working for this part, or how the damper pedals unit or switches are working for each of the parts. So it's thorough, and again, you can do all of that from the front panel, but it's just obviously a little bit faster to do from the iPad. And again, if you come up with a combination that you like, it's real easy to then store that. The display, regardless of what is going on, will keep reminding me that I have a split and a layer active at this point in time. And since I chose split last, we're still in a section where we could choose, the secondary sound. So I could go through the different categories here and choose. There's all kinds of stuff in here. So it's pretty fast to get around. There's even some cool, I think there's some synth basses in here too. There's a fretless. A lot of new stuff. So get the idea. It's pretty fast to do. Again, split and layer buttons. I can turn them off and see the app is automatically reacting to what I've done here on the front. So hope that answers your question, Joe. Great one. How long will it run on batteries? So the PX-S1000, the The model without the display is ready to run at 4 hours, and that's at around 50% volume on the onboard speaker system. So the PX-S3000 with the onboard speakers enabled is rated around 2 hours of battery life with everything turned on. So if you were to disable the speaker system, no question you could go longer. So if you're hooked up to a keyboard amplifier or a PA, you could go longer. I just don't know the answer as to how much longer yet. So there are also some things that you'll see what's happening when it's running on batteries that if you're just playing the instrument, the lights and LED, things will mute themselves until you activate them again, until you use the touch panel again. So it does some things to conserve energy, but you're looking at least 2 hours and more. Electric guitars. So one of the things it's always amazed me is people are always asking about categories that you wouldn't typically expect on a stage piano. But yeah, there are some guitar sounds on here. So I should show you real quick. Over on the right-hand side, let me see if this other window. So I got to move this camera a little bit. There's 5 categories of sounds: piano, electric piano, organ, strings, pads, and then others. And in the other categories, each time I hit the button again, it's taking me through a different category. And those categories are also represented pretty easily on the way the iPad is set up. So you could actually get in here and see, yeah, I've got steel string guitars like this. There's a nice steel string with a some nice ones in here. There's also in guitar 2 you'll find some jazz, some with a little distortion on them. So what I like to do, I'm gonna just find a clean. That's like a clean Strat sound. I mean, again, I could take this sound or any of the presets in here, and within a moment or two, I can go in and just change everything about it. So, oops, gotta hold down. Here we go. I'm already there. So just as an example, you could take that guitar and no, that's not. You can take it wherever you want to take it. It's the effects are unbelievable, and that's gonna really, what's a guitar sound like without the effects? So yeah, there's some great electric guitars. Great question. And when it is split, is the lower sound fixed to bass? Yeah, no, Dave, you can choose whatever sound you want in the split of the 700 sounds on board. Ian is asking, when are they shipping? They started shipping last week. Check with your local retailer. They're available at some online retailers already as well. And Joe's asking, could it just go dark when you're playing piano? So, yes, it can. I don't know if the iPad app will show this. Let's see if we can get into that. Others. Nope, it's not on the iPad app. So let's dive into what we can see on the front panel here. Apologize for I moved the camera and now everything's different. But from the front panel here, under System, Panel Lights, there's a timer here. So, again, I don't know that you guys will be able to see it here, but let's just take me back to piano here. And let's watch the front panel and see what happens. So everything except for the backlight of the LCD is now off. It's very clean looking. So yeah, it'll do that. And there's a one button over on the left hand side that stays on, and that'll bring it back to life. So yeah, you can do that. You can make it go entirely black. All right, someone is asking for organ sounds. This is another, one that surprises me because it's a weighted action product, and people are always asking, well, what's the B3 sound like? And I don't know many true organ players that really like to play on a weighted action, but I get the fact that it's, a lot of people just want to take one keyboard, and so let me show you what can happen here. So I still have the display timer on. Let's turn the display timer back off. LCD contrast. Where was it? Panel lights. Okay. So that timer is now off. So you've got rotary speaker control. In fact, if you Tim, if you've got a PX-S3000 in your store, and you were just to dial up the very first organ preset, the first knob will give you some rotary speaker control automatically, and you can get in and adjust it to taste, just like you can edit all of the effects on here and then customize it. So those of you that have just joined us, please, I can't see the chat window scrolling through. Please ask your questions in the Ask a Question section, and that way I can better answer it. Len, if you rewatch the video, I already answered the how the Acoustic Simulator works, and the digital effects. All the effects presets that we change will be stored as a registration. So I think I've already addressed that one. And Sam is asking, is there a way to connect another keyboard controller to it and use the 3000 as a sound module? Not without a third-party accessory such as something from iConnect Midi. It could be done, but that would be a little bit of a challenge. So, but it does not have a standard MIDI input on the back. It just has USB. So, and Tim, I believe I already answered your question. So, it looks like I've answered all the questions in the question section. So I'm going to scroll through the chat window here and address a few more while the cameras are still on. Let's see. Yeah, the app is fantastic. I agree, Roger. Dick is asking, can we still plug in a mic / preamp and use it to amplify voice? Let's address that real quick. Let me think. I've even got a, well, where is that? I already showed earlier, and I'll pull up this view that we have here on the back. There is a stereo 1/8" line in on the back. All right, so you could plug anything you want into that 1/8" line input. So if you have a mixer, you could adjust the levels of your mic and other equipment, and then plug it into the back, and that would come out the speakers. So yes, that could be done, Dick, absolutely. I'm going to scroll back up and also check out some of the other questions that I may have missed. Tim believes me about the action, and it helped when you put your hands on it. Yes, if you don't believe how great it feels, you have to put your hands on it. It's the only thing. Joe, those sounded like your acoustic grand. I agree. I've had the opportunity to demonstrate this instrument in front of people, and everybody's amazed. And again, I don't know how it's coming across in the webcast or what you're listening on, but when you get in and manipulate some of the Acoustic Simulator nuances that the piano can create, and maybe turn up the damper and string resonance a little bit. It's amazing the experience that it creates. So yeah, I agree 100% with you, Joe. And let's see what else we've got. I don't see any other questions. We've got 34 people live. Can you apply built-in effects to the 1/8" input? Sam is asking. I don't believe so. There is volume control for it in system settings, so you can determine what the audio in is doing. There's also a cool thing. You can, so I've got an audio in volume control here. I've also got a sort of center cancel switch if you want. It's not, you can remove some. If you're practicing along with another, with a piece of music, that'll help eliminate some of the things in the center channel, which is cool. But you have a volume control, and that's it. There is also on the PX-S1000 and 3000 both. There is where is it? Where's my slide? Here it is. There's integrated Bluetooth audio. So, you've got songs on your phone, you want to learn them, you want to play along with them, or maybe you're using an app on your phone for drum patterns or whatever it happens to be, or your iPad. You could just have it Bluetooth connect, and you're done. So it's pretty fantastic. I was using, oh, here's a real gem. Oh, SK, if I could type. You guys won't be able to see this. I wonder if I have it on my iPad. Regardless, there are some fun apps, and why not integrate them and use them with your PXS? You don't have to connect them up. You can just use them. So there's some vintage Casio for you. All right. So, all right. That answers that question. Can't wait to get it. I agree. Dick is asking in the chat, do you expect firmware updates? No, I don't. You should never purchase an instrument or anything at all for other than what it does when the time you purchase it. I would expect absolutely to find many sounds to download for the PX-S3000 on CasioMusicForums.com. So things like the registrations that I was making just for demonstration purposes tonight, like the the clavinet with that amp and that effect. I'll put that up on the forum, or the clavinet with the that LFO wah. Yeah, we'll put those things up. So there's going to be tons of content for the 3000 because they made it finally easy for us to share sounds that we've created on here and share them as we've done with other instruments. So I would expect that, but I would never expect feature changes or firmware updates to make it do something that it doesn't already do. So, and now Tim is asking, with the PX-S3000, it's only $200 more than the 1000. Why wouldn't everyone want to go with the 3000? It's not much more money, and I agree completely. I think let me just address it from our standpoint. Price is always a factor, regardless of it's a factor with everyone. Whether you're buying a phone, whether you're buying a car, whether you're buying a computer, any product at all, and for some customers, 88 notes and awesome piano sound are all that they need. And so saving $200, if that will help your life, $200 for groceries or for your kid's school, whatever, the PX-S1000 plays like this, the piano sounds like this, and it saves you $200. But if you're looking for more than piano sounds, wow, is the PX-S3000. It's a bargain at $799, and Casio is known for that. We've done this for years, and does, again, the PX-S3000 doesn't do everything that the 5S does or the PX560 does, but it's not meant to, and it's less money. So if you want those things, you're going to pay a little more. But I think, the way Casio has set things up, we've got a variety of things at a variety of different price points to satisfy everybody's needs. So dive right in. So Dave is asking minimum height to repeat a note. I don't have a ruler with me, Dave. Note repetition is, believe it or not, far easier on this model than previous ones. I don't know. It's the way the action responds. Whatever I say about the action doesn't matter. You need to put your hands on it. But in my opinion, repetition is better. I think there's overall less bounce, I think, is a word that a lot of people have used in regards to comparing it to previous actions. So note repetition is great. So hope that answers your question. But as far as physically how high, it does not have to come all the way back up by any stretch of the imagination, and repetition is very good and very easy. Yep. So yeah, I think that's one aspect that is better and improved. So, and the fact that they've all the engineering changes, and I'll tell you, without hesitation, people that know me here in the office, we're all a little bit skeptical of some of the choices that Casio Japan was making. How can you do this? But Casio is an engineering company, and this is Casio engineering at its best when it comes to the quality of this action. I'll also say the action's quieter, so much quieter than previous models. So I think that will be another enjoyable factor of this instrument. So it feels solid, it feels great. The action is outstanding. So a couple other quick questions. Kim is asking, can it play general MIDI files? Absolutely. So you can, there's a USB port on the back of the instrument. You can put your MIDI files on there and play back standard MIDI files. So no problem. And Dave says it seems faster than the 3 sensors. I would agree. David Dickey is saying, does it have auto accompaniment? It does. And I apologize, I'm not demonstrating it because that's not. I don't use it myself. I'm not a player that uses accompaniment, but just to give you a quick idea, let me just dial in a couple things. Bank 2, I think I had a couple things in here. So, oops, bank 2, number 3. No, I changed them. But you can absolutely have accompaniment, auto accompaniment on. And you'll see here, let me pull up the iPad screen. This will actually help you. So you can see that you can have accompaniment. You can, there's 200 different drum patterns on here in a variety of different styles. So, so we can have the backing band with us. There's some really, some great contemporary patterns. There's some great stuff for ballads in here. I like, I'm stuck in the 80s, so I'll always use, I will use some of these guys. I'm gonna lower my tempo, and I don't know what effect I've got. I've got a stadium. Somebody put a stadium on that one when they stored it. I'll just go back to the large hall, but there's some nice patterns in here with electronic drums and nice ballad stuff. You name it. There's 200 rhythm patterns to use with variations. So if you need auto accompaniment, it will absolutely do that. So great question. Len is asking the technical questions. Can you confirm that the new engine in this keyboard combines AIR and AIX? Yes. The answer is yes. It has everything that AIX did in previous keyboards like the CTX models. Has all of that stuff and more. It has, frankly, a new generation of AIR technology. So we had pushed for a different name. It should be called AIR2. That's really what it is, and it does combine everything that you've heard from CTX boards as far as what the AIX chip does, but our latest piano technology with AIR and more. So yes, it combines both. Sam, can you customize the rhythms and save them? Not directly on the instrument, no. So there are tools that allow you to do that, but not directly on the instrument. So you can choose obviously your fills, your variations, your tempos, all of those things, and the sounds you're playing on the keyboard, but no rhythm editing. And Joe is asking you, when you say the action is quieter, yes. He's asking, when you say the action is quieter, do you mean quieter in the sense of less key clunk when the unit is off or the sound is turned down? Many keyboards at this price point have loose or noisy keys. So yeah, the answer is it is absolutely physically a quieter action to play. So if you have neighbors or a spouse nearby and you're playing with headphones at night, the thunk of the key is rather quiet in comparison to not only other models in the industry, but our previous models as well. And Ian tried to address, he's asking, do electric pianos, I assume you're asking, come from the 5S? Yeah, I addressed that earlier when Joe was asking about Wurlitzers. The electric pianos and Wurlitzers are not the same as the PX5S. If you were to look at the tone category in the PX5S, some of the electric pianos come from there. Of course, where the PX5S excels in electric pianos, you'll find those things as custom hex layer creations, and you won't find any of those in the PX-S3000. And the Wurlitzer samples are completely different. So it's a different set of flavors here available on the 1000 and the 3000. So rewind, check that section out again. But yes, they are different. Joe's asking, are the rhythm patterns the same as the ones we've seen in other recent Casio models? This is one aspect. Yes, the rhythms are directly derived from the CTX models. I don't believe there's any changes in that regard. While the tones themselves, in some cases, are dramatically different than the CTX models, the rhythms are essentially the same. Joe asks, how many built-in tones? 700. And someone's asking a General Midi question. And is it General Midi 1 or is it a later version? I believe, Tim, it's General Midi 1. And, it's there for compatibility's sake, but you're always going to get the best sounds when you don't use General Midi. So General Midi is convenient. You can download a file and it's going to play the right sounds, but your best sounds are going to be outside of the General Midi set. So edit those files and use some of the other cool sounds. So thanks for, looks like Joe is copying messages that, oh no, you put that in the chat. So yeah, there's a lot of great patterns in there. The motor look, Brian Auger. So I'm just double checking the chat, guys. I've gone over an hour and I got to wrap things up here before they lock me up and I won't be able to get out of the building here. But do appreciate everyone's attendance in the webinar. I'm going to give it like sort of a 5-minute warning here for last questions and comments, and I'll take them here in the, I'll watch the chat window and watch the questions section. So Harry, I just answered, oh, great question, Harry. Somebody's asking, are the speakers different than the PX330? Yes, everything about it. Again, different chassis, different action, different look, obviously, physically, and different amplifier and different speakers. So, you know, when Casio went to this this new chassis, this new system, our concern with the size was having a speaker system that would be well represented in this smaller box. And let me tell you, the new digital amplifiers that are in here, it's a whole new ballgame. These are the best speakers we have ever had built into a digital piano, portable digital piano. The exception I'll make is the CGP 700, but that speaker system, although you know that's a portable digital piano, that extra speaker system's in the stand. So as far as speakers built into a digital piano, it's the best we've ever had. I believe it's far better than anything else out there. There's it's 8 watts a side, and as the picture represents here, the speakers fire out. They also fire towards you. I don't have a camera angle that quite shows it, but they're ported on the front, so you're getting a lot of sound towards you. Of course, a lot of people set up the piano against a wall. All of that's going to reflect back. But the speaker system's out of this world. At maximum volume, it does not distort. It's clean. It's got great bass response. So the speaker system, they've done an outstanding job. It's again higher quality speakers and higher quality amplification, and that's what it does. So Joe Cotterman says, "Good. I'm glad it's on your short list." So I hope this has been helpful. And yes, you should absolutely buy one for your birthday. Absolutely. Harry was asking about hex layers. Again, I addressed it. It's different technology altogether, and it's not the same as the 5S and other instruments, so no. And goodness, that's about it. I've got about 60 seconds left, guys, for last minute questions. So use the chat window. I'm scrolling way up in the chat. Looks like Bill was saying he needs to switch between, you know, playing piano and strings and or piano, bass, and strings to just bass and piano. There's a couple different ways you could do that. You could just have 2 registrations right next to each other, one with the strings and one without. So that would be the fastest way. You could also have the strings on a volume pedal and just turn off the strings when you don't want strings, and you don't have to change any buttons. So play bass and piano all day long, bring in the strings when you need to. No button pressing. So I hope that helps. And does it go to 11? Yes. I guess that's because I was referencing Spinal Tap earlier. And, you know, most important, it has some other fun sounds in here, just so you can amuse people when you're playing live gigs. If you need a little amusement, as I always do. There it is. There's when your jokes aren't funny and nobody's laughing, you can laugh at yourself. You can, you know, you got the virtual punches in here. There's babies. There's all kinds of, there's rain, there's thunder, there's, if you need to wake up your audience, come on. It's all in here and more. So, and for the first time ever, here's a joke right at the end. I'm saving the best for last. For the first time ever, Casio product has a Yamaha sample built in. There you go. That's my best joke. All right, guys. Sorry, I amused myself here at the end. Thank you very much for attending the webinar. And we will be doing more of these. I hope you enjoyed the Crowdcast system. I think it's fantastic. And we will see you again on future webinars. Do subscribe if you came here. You can subscribe to the Crowdcast channel. If we schedule a future event, you'll get an email notification. And if you've not followed us already on Facebook or YouTube and those other channels, please do so. And I hope to see you again on our next webinar. My name is Mike Martin. I will pull up a piano and play us out for a moment. See you guys next time.